Start. Okay. So we'll start with Sunbird Mobile SDK. So this is the library which manages all the heavy loading of the app itself, like all operations starting from downloading one content, saving it to the database, saving it to the local storage, saving it to like any preference, offline data management, and like course consumes, like course progress tracking and all these things. All the business logic is available here. So this is a basic, this is not one Angular project. So this is basic one TypeScript library, which uses like all the plugins or all the libraries via the window object or whatever instance that we give. So the project structure is like this. So you can see it. So there is a basic dist folder. I think dist folder is not required. This is for publishing it to the npm itself. And here actually this is the plugins folder. So these are the plugins where we are putting all our definition files here, which is being used by the SDK. Okay. So starting from, I think you can see this is STD plugin. So this is the most important plugins that that plugin that we are using it. So here you can see the definition is .d.ts, means it includes only the definition files. So you can see the interface is available, how we are accessing that specific plugin. So you can see here we can access it like cordova.plugin.htdp, then all the methods are here. Okay. So similarly, I think we have some file plugin. So this file plugin, we have all the models available, and also we have some methods like remove methods, then get file method, and there are lots of methods that is being used. So only here we are putting all the definition files. So the reason of putting this definition file is during compiling, I think TypeScript should not be like, I usually the TypeScript says that these files are not found. So that's why I put up all the definition files here. So scripts not required. So then we'll directly go to the source code. So here you can see the source. So similarly, like as of mobile app, here we have like divided all the source code into the modules, because in mobile app we have page specific module. Here we don't have page specific module. Here we have like feature specific modules or functionality specific module. So here you can see there is API folder is there. You can see auth, certificate, content, codes, DB, then FAQ, form, framework, and all these things. Okay. So in each folder, actually we are maintaining some standards that here we are following. If someone wants to control, they will have to follow that specific standards. So I will give one example of, I think I can give one, where is course. So this is the like folder structure inside a module. So inside the module, okay, so first I will have to tell you how we are directly using it in the mobile app. So while the app initialization, we are injecting some of the properties from mobile app to the SDK for the initialization, because this SDK needs some configuration, because it requires some like endpoints or something to call the APIs, call the plugin methods and all these things. So you can see in the app module, you can see this is the Sunbird SDK instance .init. Okay. So we will have to pass lots of configuration for the initialization. So here you can see in the API config, we are passing lots of like what is the base URL that I told in our Sunbird properties file. We have a base URL properties. So here where whatever properties file, from the properties file, whatever value will get, will pass this thing, and some user authentication URLs, some files are there. Then API authentication, what is the key, what is the secret, app consumer, channel ID, product. So these are required for telemetry generation and all these things. Then this is the DB config. What will be the DB name? Then some what are the, for content services, what are API endpoints are there? All the API endpoints and everything base URL will be sent in this in initialization itself. Okay, so here you can see all those initializations, all the DB config. Also we are sending some player config out to the Sunbird SDK. So after that, once we have this thing, we just attach that to window.sunbird, so that we can access it anywhere via the window object. Okay, so once everything is injected, so I will give you one example of this course. So how we are creating this structure. So in course, what all features are there? Just like you want to get a list of courses that a user is enrolled. Suppose give the batch details. Suppose you want enroll course, unenrolled course. So those are basic functionalities of a course. So here, if you will see, so these are the basic structures. So all the folders should have minimum of these folders in its folder structure itself. So starting from it, this is the config. So this config will contain the API path that is required to connect all the APIs. So this is the interface that will contain the API structure of all the config itself. After that, there is a definition folder where it will contain all the models required, because I told this is BFF, backend for front end itself. So client services give us some API response. It changes that specific response, convert it into some specific other model, and give it back to the Sunbird mobile app, because Sunbird mobile app doesn't recognize the client services response directly. So it recognizes some specific model. So Sunbird SDK does that conversion of those models and just give it back to the mobile app. So these are some basic models. If we'll see, there are some batch information is there, course batch response. Then the main file is this course service. So this course service contains all the methods that is being exposed via this course service, means via this module itself. So these methods are being used by the mobile app. So you can see the get batch details. So there is a request and there is a response. This update contains state. So this is for progress tracking. Get course batches. This is the request. There is a response. So this is only one interface. The implementation is available in another folder. This is only to tell that these are the services that is being provided. Okay.
These are the functions which you have created.
Yeah. So these are the
code for API calling. Where is that?
Yeah, so that is available. So this definition folder will contain models and also this interface. Okay. So after that, there is I go to that is available in this IMPL folder. I will come to that folder. So after that is the error folder. So we have created models for if there is a specific error. So we have created models for that also. Okay. Then
And
this.
the models are doing for the responses.
Yeah, this is because we are converting the API response from a Sunbird mobile app understandable model.
Yeah.
So that's why all the models are defined in the SDK.
Why? To store that in the SQLite.
It. Yeah. So it can be the reason can be that also, because initially we built like that mobile app will not directly recognize the responses directly API response. So we have given them, because the API response will contain lots of things. So we extract whatever required only for that specific page, we extract those information and give it to the mobile app. We are not giving the dump of the response to the mobile app itself. We're extracting the exact information and giving it back to the mobile app.
For journal API calling for HTTP clients which I work, we do have some filters, functions and operations also.
Filters in terms of
As in, we are passing it to for the endpoint we are using a filter, and then we are adding field name also. So what it will send only those field tables.
So that is there in the implementation. I will show you that. So along, because we are giving all these endpoints, right, in the
You
mobile.
have that feature, I must.
Everything is there, because we are in the content details page. We are sending. We are not. If we will send that in this API. If we will send this as read/doid something, it will give you all the responses available. So if we will give the field parameter that I only want only this property, then it will give you those specific properties only. So handlers basically common services. So those are being created basically. So in the implementation class, we don't want to overload the code base. So we have created separate handlers itself, where we can just move the code and use it here. And this is the actual implementation class. So here this is one injectable class where it is implementing the core service. So core service, it implements the, so core service IMPL implements the core service. So here the actual implementation is there, where you can see the get batch details method. Okay, so this get batch detail method is calling one handler. This handler is doing the proper API call. Okay, so here you can see this creating one API request with type it's get, path is this. Okay, path is this, and this whether it requires bearer token or not, and whether it requires user token or not will give true or false. So this is the client service method. This is the client service models. So we use client services here to call the APIs, because Sunbird SDK will call the client service. This request will go to client services, and client services will do the actual API call. Okay.
So you can see we have different TSs for batch content pools.
Yeah.
But I assume that the API request, the format will be same.
No, not same. It's not like.
Post and get we used to have same.
No, but it's not for all, because batch detail.
Endpoint will be different.
No, responses can, because for course, suppose get enrolled users, sorry, get enrolled courses, it will have a response will be different. But for batch details, it will be something else.
So just for the response.
So the packet will be same, but internal model will be different, because it will
For the
be.
response type basically.
Yeah.
Response type will be different.
Yes.
So just for sake of that, we need to create a different.
Yeah.
function model.
Yeah. So also that can be there. Also that should be like modular structure will be there. If someone wants to see the code, they will directly go to the handler. They should not go like one class where everything is written. So that's why I created separate handlers and separate models. So this will return the response, and
But generally, if the response type is same, if I want to create a new API function, and the response type is similar to what I'm getting for courses, right?
ideally it will be better to create a separate one, because for code readability and code understandability point of view, suppose there is a get enroll courses and get batch details. So you have created one common model. So you will understand the code, but if someone else will read the code, he will not know that whether it's being used for batch details or whether it's being used for enroll courses.
So that would just be API request.
API request, but someone is understanding the code. If someone is seeing the code, he should also understand that, right? Because you have written the code, you will understand it, but someone new. So right now, because if you are seeing the code, you are new to the code base, so you will not understand why there is only one request is there. Why, like, for what purpose this is being used? That.
I did it that way actually.
Ha.
So I changed the response type
Ha.
the models, and if the response type is same, like JSON or string sometimes, Boolean
Ha.
sometimes, so I use the same service.
Yeah, so you can use it. So because there is like lots of way of implementation, but for code readability and understandability, we have created separate models. So get. So once you call this method, so this method will return this specific model in one observable. So this will be returned to the mobile app, and you can consume it. Okay, so you can just go through all the models. You can check what all methods are there. So this is the common structure. If you will see, everywhere we are maintaining the common structure. So we are calling one method, and we are calling one handler and returning whatever response that is returning. We just return it back to the whoever is calling. So you can see there are lots of methods are there. You can just explore it. Okay, so next thing, this is the basic code workflow. So like how this we are maintaining code structures, and each file will have one test cases. If you will see, all the files will have attached one test cases attached to it, and some like mock data available for the specific handler or classes, whatever it is. These are the basic structure. Apart from that, I think few configuration that is required for, I think here you can see what all parameters that we need to register into the, like while registration, whatever paths that we need, that is mentioned here. So now we will see how API like bearer tokens are created, because I told you we already have in the properties file we have our mobile app key and mobile app secret. Without that it will not work. So
token storage also are using it in DB or
in preference. Yes.
So preference we use key value pairs?
Yes. So I think I can show you that. Here you can see it, right?
Do we have any token expiry?
Yeah, that I will tell you that. Yeah, so whenever mobile app will call any API, because these are all interceptors that were written, whenever one mobile app will call any API, so if there are two conditions, if it is empty, whether if the token is empty or if the token is expired, so it will try this handler will try to refresh that thing, or if it is not there, if it is empty, it will try to create a new one, because for the first time always it creates a new one. Okay, so refresh of the token.
In case if we are in the app, we are using the app, we are using the app, in that time the token expires, and at that time also I hit a API, definitely that will not work, because
It will give it will not give 401, so it will give, suppose any on a thresh it will give, it will try to refresh the token and it will again call the API again.
So for every
Because bearer tokens, so there are two type of tokens. One is bearer token, another is user auth token. So bearer token is required whenever, suppose for any APIs. Any APIs you need bearer token, because that is like private thing. Using that bearer token you can access those APIs. Access the private way, because form read APIs, framework read, those are like open. Whichever like private, you need the bearer token. For and user auth token, so that is required for all after your login. So one token is created which is user auth token. So that depends upon the expiry time. Usually whenever you log in via Google or log in via Keycloak, the expiry time is 1 day. So it will expire after 1 day. So after 1 day, like that 24th hour, whenever you are like calling the API will return 401. Whenever you will get one 401, here it will receive that 401 request, then it will try to refresh it, and it will call the same API again with the new token. auth token.
Okay.
So the flow will not be broken here. So the same, so user will not know that that something has been done. So in one case it will break. So there are like, this is the case where token is expired. So suppose there are some cases where token are deleted, because usually I'm not sure, the DevOps do some like maintenance activity, they delete those tokens. So at that time, whenever you try to refresh it, it will give 400 error. So that means that that key clock is not able to handle that token. So it will give 400. So whenever we will get 400 error, we directly log out. Because if you get 400, you cannot handle the request, and we don't have the tokens to move ahead. So we'll directly log out. And you will see, I think you might face this issue. People will say that after a while, like suppose if people will say that user are getting logged out. So the only reason people are getting logged out is the token has been deleted. So you can tell the user that re-log in.
For the user, but that's the only way.
Yeah. So it is not like that we are getting stuck there and we are not getting logged out. So they.
We do the one thing that we do have the user credential. We might store that thing and in case of.
No, that is storing user credential. I don't think that's a bad. That's a good practice.
Okay, so for every 400, the token expiry condition, they will
Regenerate the new
for that
token.
Refresh token API, we need the refresh token first, right?
Yeah. So that's what. So that is for user token. So I will first tell you the bearer token, then I will move ahead to the user token. So once this, so if you'll see, this is API service. Once this API service initialized, it will search for on the share preference, give me the token. Okay. So in the token, if the token will not there, ideally for the first time, you will not get that token because there is no token generated. So it will try to generate that token. So using the APIs, using those key and secret, because this key and secret we have already injected during the initialization process that I told you that from the properties file it is injected. So using those things, you can go through this code. Using this, here we are calling one API with the endpoint of this API/API manager v2 consumer. We are calling this API. So this will give us the token. After getting the token, what we will do, we will directly store it in the preference.
For the refresh token also you use the same handler API.
Yeah, this is for bearer token. This is that refresh token thing is separate the user workflow, logged in user flow.
Refresh token and token, just a normal HTTP advance.
Yeah. That same. You are telling about plugins. Okay, the same HTTP plugins, all API calls we are using.
I saw the JWT, so I thought there's some other function or plugin you are using.
No, JWT actually we'll have to generate that JWT token itself.
Just a function name.
Yeah. So here once we get that token, so here we'll get that. So we'll call that API. We'll get that token. We'll save it in the share preference, and after that we'll use the bearer token. So then. So here you can see, so there is another interceptor which we have added. So for user token refresh. So what we are doing, if we are getting 401, because I told you after you get like after 1 day it will expire. So once you get a 401, we'll call, so we can see whatever response will just return it. After that we'll call this invoke refresh session token API. So this is the refresh session API which is being called for, this is a separate API itself. So this is the API which it will auth v1/refresh token. So this will give you the new token, new refresh token, and no, so this is like for iOS there is specific, because we are handling, there are multiple if else conditions. For Android we are doing something, for iOS we are doing something, because for iOS there are some challenges that they have faced during this token refresh. That's why they have added some like few iOS conditions. So once you call the API, so here you are passing the refresh token, the older refresh token. So once you pass the older refresh token, in the response, you will get the new one. So here you are getting the new one. See.
The refresh token for the first time, we don't have any expiry date or something. It comes
No, that refresh token, I don't think that has.
General JWT token, it comes, it gives the.
But that refresh token, I think if we'll give that, I think if that is expired, I think that will give us 400. Then we'll have to force log out.
Don't get any date or time.
No. So here you can see. So after that, in that is that refresh token API itself. If you'll see, if here you will get a HTTP bad request 400. Then actually what we are doing, we are sending one, we are throwing one auth token refresh error. So this auth token refresh error, we are receiving in the mobile app. So if in mobile app, if we will get this one, we are directly logging out. Okay. So this is how like Bearer token has been created, Bearer token is refreshed, and auth token is created during the login. After login, you will get access token, refresh token, and all the user information, everything. And once the token is expired, how the token is refreshed. So everything is there in the like auth services, because auth service is completely a vast thing. You can just explore it. If anything, you have any like doubt or anything, you can just put up in the like discussion forum. We'll just answer it. So this is for how we refresh it. Next will be okay. So next is how we are tracking the content progress. So content progress for a course. Sorry. So for a course, to make a course complete, so we will have to complete all the contents inside it. So we will have to play each content. So we'll have to start a content, end the content. So if we have like 10 contents are there, you'll have to one by one complete each content. Okay. So every time you are playing a new content, so ideally from our end what we are doing, so I already told you we are generating a start end event. So whenever a start event is there, so we are getting that start event in the SDK, we are tracking it, and we are updating the content, that state of that specific content. Okay, so I will show that.
Generally, how much data we have in the local DB? If the user has not downloaded anything, just logged in,
Nothing.
Nothing.
Only some few profile data and.
It will not very heavy.
No. So once if you download lots of textbooks and all,
That's it.
after that we'll try it will heavier, because for the main like heavier table is content, because for a CBSE content there can be like one textbook can have like 400 child content. So 400 rows will be created for one content. Imagine if there are like 100 contents he has downloaded, so it will increase.
For the downloading file for iOS, we know that iOS do have some specification and read or write operation specification.
Huh.
So did you done something different other than Android?
No, restriction means anyhow we are storing it in the DB and the file. So one thing is we are storing it in the DB for our tracking purpose, and for the player purpose, that because we will have to give that path, we are storing it on the file system itself, because ideally there is no like limit, you can store anything.
But there are some restrictions in the iOS side. Because you can't store in certain folders or
file access. No.
file.
Okay. Initially, when you're installing an app itself will ask for what are the permissions that you need.
No, I think she is asking about there is a limit to the like size.
It has the
No,
permissions.
size.
In the iOS app,
Basically.
okay, iOS app will not allow to access the files directly. That's what she question.
Okay.
Because there are restrictions in iOS.
Yes.
Because the same thing, like in the app.
The same, I think Android has because you will have to give some permissions, right?
Permissions, okay. While installing, it says ask for permissions. If you give those permissions, then only it will do.
Even then also in iOS there are certain folders we can't access, or we can store our data there.
That's what. See, those permission issues comes when you're accessing the user specific contacts. Okay, like many apps ask for, okay, can I read your messages? Can I read your contacts? That's where all of the restrictions put in by the app, like iOS or Android and all. But here, we are not reading any of the user-specific information. We are reading the contents, which is downloaded as the content information. There is nothing related to user at all here. There are not any restrictions on this folder, especially by any apps.
But the path you have selected into the code, it must be different for not.
No. So actually, what we are giving the private space, because every app has its own private space. That I told you that nobody, ideally, like a normal person cannot access it.
Yes.
A techie, whoever like well versed with the mobile app, they can access it.
That's my question, because basically at the end, eventually the downloaded content will only be inside the app folder only.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Ideally, that is not the purpose. Is not to give the user access of those PDF, because users should not access those PDFs and or videos or whatever you have.
Inside the app.
हाँ.
Right.
So or else people will directly download it and they can share it anywhere.
I
Or
think for the certificates you must have given the permission.
हाँ, for certificates actually that we are doing it in some downloads folder.
Yeah.
Okay, because the reason is that we have previously were putting it in the private space, but people there are some issues come up that we cannot find it, because they will have to show it to some organization, they will have to show that certificate. So that's why we put it in the downloads folder, so that they can easily access it and show it somewhere.
Okay. One challenge here, if you put this in the private, like other than private, user can go and delete that file because they don't know.
I think there are some apps coming which will clear off all those your things. So
Clears all the content is not. So that's always better to use the private space.
Okay, so how we are tracking the progress here is, so once when you enter to a collection or a course or somewhere, so those are like trackable. So once you reach one trackable collection page, we generate start and end event. So once we get a start event and that is from a trackable, and we are trying to like track progress of the specific content. So here, once we get the start event, we usually get to like store one context for that specific content, the specific course. So that mobile SDK will understand that we are going to track the content that is consumed inside that specific context. So if we'll see here, we are giving that EIDA start. Whenever we will get a start, the first event it will go with that content update state API. The progress we are sending it as 5. So there are two type of progress that we are sending. One is progress as 5, means the content is started. Another is progress is 100, means content is completed. So once we get one start event, we'll send us progress as 5. Once we get an event as end, we'll send progress as 100.
So, but why 5? Why have you given?
It's not complete. Yeah, sorry.
Why 5?
So that's a like random number, because we can give one, we cannot give actually 0. We cannot give like we have given one random number between 1 to 10. We given 5. So
Way to track the other thing.
other thing, because you can play the content, you cannot get to in between the content. Like we cannot track that content is 50% complete. You can track the progress of a course, but you cannot track the progress of a content. It is started or it is ended. It cannot be, it is in progress. We cannot calculate that. So this is how we track the progress.
Exit from out of the video.
Exit. No, that course context. That will we clear off the course context during the app initialization.
No, like I played half of the content. In the
Huh.
course, I can say I open one of the content. I played only 50% of the video.
हाँ.
Okay, of that thing. And I exited. And next time when you launch it, you should start from 50%. It's not
I think that information we are sending it in the configuration. No, we are storing that configuration information. हाँ. No. What she is asking, why the progress is 5? Why not like any other number? So if, because suppose for PDF or some ECML, we can only send it is started and is completed. We cannot send that it is in between some stage. No, but we cannot, because for course to be complete, either it is because while the calculation of the complete state, if it is in between some state, how will do that? Whether is it completed or not? So that state we are not.
In progress state.
So we are only calculating they started or ended. Only two state we are maintaining. Okay, so this is the way how you are inside, like using the telemetry, how you are tracking the progress of a specific course inside SDK itself. And after, I think each content, once you update the content state, I think we are generating some events out there so that you can track whether that event has some like progress or not, what can. So if like for debugging purpose, we are generating some events. So you can check out this summary telemetry event handler where we are handling all the course progress.
For the downloadable content, eCard files can also be downloaded and user can have access of it.
Yes, so this is I am going to tell you that how content is extracted and how they use it. So this is the next thing. So how content? So eCard thing that I already told you. So suppose people have, so eCard you cannot access it. Only if you have access to the APIs or you have some tech knowledge, you can go to the network and get this download URL. You will have that eCard file.
So if I download the eCard file, it should not be in the downloads. It should not.
No, it will be there in the private space itself. If you will see, here there is a download folder. So actually we are deleting. So once the download process starts, so I will tell you what is the process of how we are downloading the eCard file. So first, I think I will tell you that better. Yeah, so you can see it. This is one of the functionality import eCard. Okay, so import eCard means ideally we are importing that eCard into the mobile app. So there are two features. One is import, another is export. So if that eCard is already you have downloaded it, also you can export it. Okay, so that suppose that is more for like offline purpose. Suppose I have internet connection, you don't have internet connection. Okay, so I can afford to download one 5 GB content. Okay, so what I did, I have downloaded that 5 GB content, but you don't have internet connection because of some reason. So what I will do, I will download that content and share it to you via some WhatsApp or not Gmail, I think via Bluetooth, by any medium I can share it to you so that you can consume that content. Okay, so there is the like import and export feature. So the format will be exactly same. So there will be no difference between.
You have feature to import a eCard file.
So that's what downloading means importing. So download means import. Yeah.
Downloading is importing.
Downloading means importing.
See, what is the download? Download is contains the metadata, right? Of the content. It log out name, title, description, who is the creator, and everything is the metadata. Along with that metadata, there is a download URL. This is one of the property in the metadata ID. That download URL nothing but the eCard kappa.
That's CD stored in CD.
Stored in the serial. That is the serial, the eCard kappa. Like what is the assets means between that content. Is it a PDF content or is it a video content? What kind of content? That's the part of the eCard. In that eCard, that there is folder structure for the content. Okay, the backend system is always creating that folder structure and putting as an eCard. Now when you download, you are downloading that entire eCard file as is a zip file. The eCard in the EX content is a one file. You download it and extract that file. Unzip, extract that file, then you will get the actual folder of the content with the do ID. The do ID is a root folder. Within that, what is the file path? Okay, that's what they are while after downloading it. Basically, they are updating what is that file path so that player can read. When the player is playing the content, they should read the local file path, right?
Yeah, I told you that location of where that is being stored, how player will read it in offline. So that's same.
These guys are updating again content metadata, modifying with what is the local path, so that at the time of player playing it, it will get the local file path, not the block path.
But user,
Offline use case.
mobile user doesn't have have any knowledge about trying to create a zip file of eCar file.
No.
He
So
just downloaded that and he's
Yes.
clicking on
yeah.
upload. Import. There's an issue actually we got.
So what they did was they have first the video. What it is was they went to that content, downloaded that, they got the eCar file.
Hmm.
Okay.
No. That download thing, it will not give you the eCar file.
We got it actually in that. You can see in the video. Downloaded actually he get the eCar file in his download folder.
Just check that
He got it.
just check that if that's another eCar file is trying to import or
Okay, let me check.
just check.
Download is not, user doesn't know what is that file and all. It's
Yeah. So
something
because
happens in
for
the
normal user who is using it, they are not aware of what is eCar because they will not understand.
7212023.
It is download complete.
Download complete.
doid.eCar.
Yeah. So in the status bar, right? So actually we are using download manager to download that. So it will show up in the status bar that this file is downloading and the download is and the file is download is complete.
That is present in the file system also.
But that,
Yeah. So that I will tell you.
but
So
why do we have to show them the user to that download is complete? Or
no. So actually the reason is actually we are leveraging the download manager feature, and that download manager feature doesn't have that functionality to hide the notifications.
okay.
So we cannot hide that specific the whatever notification that we are getting. So anyhow we will have to show that. So previously we used to have like the content name, but due to some issues we'll have to drop that. We are showing that do ID itself. Because if the issue was, I think in some the name was in Kannada or Tamil, it created some issue.
Why do you have to show the download progress? How, if it is a file is too big, how does they know what is the progress of the content?
So actually the reason is actually we cannot hide that notification.
So that's one reason you don't hide, and also good to show the progress. What is the, how much percentage is downloaded? So that means when internet you can take a call where the app download now, if the internet speed is low, you can cancel that download, you can take it later. You can take that.
नाम है ना वो do ID.
No, it's a by default starts, no? Always download will start by default.
After download the user will think that I have to click it to actually.
No, actually that everything is automated. So you don't have to click on it.
Downloading starts.
It automatically starts, it automatically removes from the notification. Then we are, yeah.
So like those two are different content. The one
हाँ.
it is downloaded, but the problem is like when that person is importing, so it goes back to the app, and nothing happens.
Okay, I think that is he is trying to import from a file manager.
Yes.
Okay.
Side loaded the eCar.
Side loaded, so we'll have to check that whether that is a valid eCar format, whatever is downloaded.
If any issue
If
with
the-
eCar, it will not even know.
Because we have seen in apps where some devices don't support that deep link, because we have a deep link where when you click on, because we are recognizing that file format .ecar, because all other apps cannot recognize, because we our Sunbird app or our app recognizes .ecar file.
So that may be the device specific. Yeah, actually, what like even I did check this earlier. Like I don't know, it's a problem the debug build or the release build or something else. Like we imported on the emulator, so it doesn't show anything. But when we directly click on that eCar file, it shows open with Diksha or open with file manager. Open with Diksha, when it does, it shows that import box and file importing, something like that. But right now, it's while this video is playing,
Those things are sometimes specific to
Specific
file
to-
manager also.
Yes.
Right, Sunil?
Yes.
Because some file manager doesn't support that.
So some file manager accepts all file types. So whenever you try to open it, so also that file manager, because you are registering some intent, because in Android you can register some intent, like you want to open some specific type of file. Suppose you have one PDF app. So all the, if you click on a PDF file, it will show all the PDF apps available in your application, like in your device. So similarly, if like a file manager accepts all file types, that file manager also show up in your that box along with the Diksha, because Diksha will also understand that eCar file.
What should be the remedy for this? What
See,
No.
see again, sideloading of decals, there are a lot of mobile specific things also. Okay, you have to really see the logs of it. Okay, until you are able to replicate the problem, it's very hard to fix it, especially on mobile use cases.
So I think first we'll have to ask why they are trying to sideload the APK instead of, if there's a genuine case that they have to sideload the content, then we'll have to see the logs. Like what is the issue? Is there an error coming up while
Send out to mobile,
Huh.
send it to the
whether that eCar is valid or not, where he got that eCar and all these things.
all the
Then it
permissions.
should not be in the file manager. It should not. Just
Huh,
the
like
way we have-
so whenever we are downloading that eCar file, we extract it and we download it from the that file itself. From the folder itself. So we clean up after the import.
Okay, so is it one thing also that while importing content, the name of the TCAR file also matters?
Yes, the name of the eCar file matters. Suppose there are some special characters in that name, it might cause issue, because in
He's trying to say
in the-
Diksha underscore
in-
Bal Pitara. This is the name of the eCar file. He's trying to improve.
but
But the one he downloaded, it was do ID, do underscore, there was
Yeah,
a number.
that was something else. This is some other TCAR file
Yeah, yeah.
he has, which is not that. See that plus icon. See, this is the
See, these things is like try to replicate the problem. Okay, that's the only way we can say. Is it a mobile specific things happening? Okay, or is it a particular the content specific issue? If it is a content specific issue, you try to go and address it. See what is the remedy for that. If it is specific to mobile, then it's very difficult to address straightforward until you get the proper logs, what kind of permissions he has given, what kind of apps that he is using to again open and everything. You have to really see how to replicate the problem.
okay, so I think we'll see how the import content works. So this is basically the content download. So internally we call that as import content, but to user it is downloading that content. So the content request that will get, it will only get the, I think I'll, so the request that will get, it will get the like only the do IDs of the content that needs to be downloaded, because we have functionality that we can download a single content, we can download if we'll give multiple do IDs also, it will try to download it. So once you click on the download button, so in the content import request we'll get the do ID of that specific content. After that actually we hit the search API. So in the search API we hit the that with that do ID, which will return us back the download URL, because we don't know what is the download URL for that specific content. Okay, so after hitting the search API we'll get the download URL, and that download URL will try to download it. So here if you'll see in the content search API, so this is the search API that search content handler we are doing. Once we get the API response, so we will create one download request with the download URL. Here you can see it. So we'll call the download request API with lots of information like where the destination folder, whether that's a child content or not, whether that's a file or not. There are lots of information. We are sending it to the download request itself. So once that is downloaded, so once that the download is complete, we'll try, because that output will be one eCar file. So that eCar file will be available in the downloads folder. So we'll try to extract it. So for the extraction, I think the callback will come here. So here you can see on download completion. So we will have the complete file path of that specific eCar. So that eCar file will send, so using that file path itself, we'll call the import eCar method. So this import eCar method will do the heavy lifting of extracting, because that's a zip file. So what we'll do, we'll just unzip it. So just like I told you, so this is one video content. So there is a specific structure there that we are following. So what we will do, we will just copy this specific thing and put it, dump it in our whatever is the do ID of that specific content. We create one folder and put it all the content inside the specific folder itself. So here, because I already told you, these are the main files that actual video and the file path. So these are the assets we are maintaining, like which we want. So for PDF it will be one PDF, and for EPUB it can be an EPUB, and for video it will obviously one MP4 file. So we extract that eCar, copy those assets, then put all the entry, put one entry in the content table and complete the extraction process. And we will directly give the callback to the mobile app that this content is imported. So you can directly access it from the like while playing the content. Instead of giving the streaming URL, we'll directly give this path so that the content player will understand it. So the complete process is here. So all the process is given here step by step. So here the process starts with some generating some telemetry events. Then if you'll see, it will do some validation on top of that eCar, whether that eCar is valid or not. Then the extract payload. So in the extract payload, the actual thing happens where it will copy the assets and put that in the DB itself. So the DB will look like so the DB will look like this. So here you can see there are around 1000 more rows are there. So this is for like I think 1 or 2 contents. So here you can see identifier and the server data that you are saying, you told that one, right? So if some metadata has been changed, so how will we update it?
Local data,
Which one?
like server data.
Yeah, this is the data that we use to show in the like UI. So
Database.
this is database, yes.
Local database or server database?
No, this is local database. But the response that we are saving the content details API response, read API call, whatever we did. So you told, right, suppose some metadata has been changed. So how we keep track of it? So there is a field called server data where we keep updating the data once they are visiting the specific page. So here we are putting some information like MIME type or some like what is the actual path. Here you can see this is the actual path. So you can see this. So you can see this Android data, the package name, files, content, then do ID. So this is the actual location of that specific app. And then when it is updated, and content type, audience, and what is the size that on the device itself, and some like basic information we are storing it. So once the download is complete and extraction process complete, so actually in the app itself the download button will turn into delete. So there you will know that how the content has been downloaded.
Deleting also the whole process repeats.
Deleting actually so repeats means it will repeat in reverse.
Reverse.
So we will delete from the file like resource, and then we delete it from the DB itself. Then we'll delete whatever things that are related to that, we'll just delete it. Yep, I think these are the basic SDK. Those are the like major chunk that SDK uses with the heavy lifting, and for other features and all, you can just go through the mobile SDK code base and just explore it a bit. So the major function is how the API has been called and how the content is imported. So content import and API call is the major chunk that you can get from the SDK.
Okay, so about push notifications, I have seen you are using SB notifications. I just saw some.
No. So SB notification, actually there is a specific that's not a push notification. Yeah. So push notification we use like for Firebase we used to send push notification. So that SB notification is actually one UI library.
For iOS,
icon that
Icon, yes. So suppose some certificate is issued or something like that, it's there, no?
for iOS, you are deleting the push notification plugin. I saw that the build iOS 65. You delete that push notification plugin.
Push notification or that FCM plugin.
Push notification.
Okay,
Push
so
notification.
there is some issue with the iOS push notifications.
Huh.
Okay, so I think that's the recent change. Okay, so change the push notification being disabled in that.
Okay.
Because some iOS constraints. Maybe the Kiran or something.
So Kiran's team, they have done it, so we can.
Yeah.
So I think if you have any issues in like because iOS I can answer it. If like why plugins has been removed, I think you can ask this in.
Tomorrow there's a another team is coming, so who will be who understand this
iOS. So we have done the basic DB like plugins and all, but the actual development, because any like plugins related thing, whatever app related thing, so they have developed all these things.
So I
So
have some questions about key clock of iOS and all. So I will ask.
no, the key clock thing you can ask me. No?
Okay, so I saw that in the production we don't have 5.1 for iOS, we have 5.0.
Ha. For iOS in App Store, right? Yes.
So I tried using 5.1 for iOS, and what issue was the in-app login was not working. So in 5.1 for iOS.
So then I think we'll have to check that one. So the reason is I think whenever the app was given to the Play Store or the App Store, so that is a new feature. So that new feature will have to that API service that we're using. So we are using the backend portal backend services. So that we'll have to see that if portal backend services are working properly or not.
Keycloak also there is a client ID iOS should be.
So if iOS
In the key clock which we have, we don't have any iOS project.
Yeah, so I think that should be there.
Ha.
That client ID should be available.
so that might not be there, or there's
Like because the client ID we are passing Android, in case of iOS we are passing the iOS ID.
might be
So that
mad that.
iOS is not there in the Keycloak. So that client itself is not there. That may be the issue.
So in that case, I need to know the configuration for the key clock for iOS that I want. Like how we can,
It is a pretty much DevOps based.
It was already there now. It was.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is same as Android or, I mean,
Yeah, ideally.
But the thing is, ideally it should be there because these things was already working, and how come that got deleted or missed?
No, that in-app plugin, the in-app login, we have introduced recently.
in 5.1.
So key clock like
It was WebView before.
previously it was WebView. We have introduced one in-app login. Like inside the app only, you will give username and password and you can log in. So that I think for iOS it's not working.
Yeah, that was the key clock login. Login with key clock function it's not working.
Yeah, so I think you can put up in the discussion forum. We can check debug the issue
I
and.
can ask Kiran.
Kiran cannot.
Getting that issue.
Sorry.
He is also getting that issue.
He is also getting the issue. He has informed me regarding previously. So I think we'll have to. I think iOS we haven't checked all this before because previously we thought the iOS was like it was dropped because of that user account wala feature. So after that, I think we haven't checked it in iOS. So we can check that one and get back to you. You can just put up an issue in discussion forum.
So there is one more question about forget password.
Yes.
So currently in Android and iOS everywhere, so I'm talking about Android 5.1, we have Android forget password in app, WebView. So our requirement is after the forget password successful, the user has to come to the login page all by itself, in app login page.
Yes.
Without pressing, without WebView, you have to.
Yes. Actually, this issue is being raised by our QA team. So actually that feature we are currently working on it. So because it is directly coming to the Keycloak wala login page instead of the this.
And we do the login and it goes to the WebView.
Yes. So that issue I think came up in our QA cycle itself. So I think team is working on that issue itself.
Okay. But that will be available for 6 point or something.
Yes. If I think because ideally this is not linked to any of those other issues, I think we can put it as a hotfix. If you will, we can put it as hotfix or some.
Let's take a call.
Uh-huh.
Which hotfix to go.
And
Yeah.
do we have any chances that we are putting all the login pages in in-app login instead of going to WebView at all.
That like I
Sign-up
think
page, forget password, everything it should be in-app login, like this, like the login, sign-in page.
I think that product will take the call. That it is everything, because these are things which are like product requirement is
See,
coming
it's
up.
like a reusability again.
Yeah.
If you want to build all this thing again in the app level, it's a re-rating of the code again. In the portal it works, but here is again it doesn't work. Some cases. Don't get into that trap again. Two different codes, and handling two different problems into two different ways. Okay, that's the reusability always what we call. Okay, write it once, try to reuse the same code. Of course, compromise on some of the usability issues.
Because in 5.0, for Android, iOS, it was WebView at all, for everything.
Yeah, everything was WebView.
So, if we get a solution that how you handle that thing, that login is successful, then the WebView closes all by itself and the user is going to the app. So, if that thing actually happens.
Yeah, that few that forget password thing, anyhow that we are currently working on. That our QA team also reported that issue.
That's all code level changes. That's
Yeah.
all possible. It's not like it's not possible to do it.
So
Okay.
this is
That
this can be this is
it
an issue.
not addressed.
In
Then
that case, we need to have some callback functions so that we can
yeah, it's all
that.
it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
available. No, all the
Yeah.
callback functions is available. Maybe it's not listening that callback today. Listen that callback and then redirect to a respective page on that. That's
So
the code
we'll have to just remove like close that Chrome browser, that
WebView
browser
page
that
and
we're
then
using.
redirect to app
Then
page.
we'll redirect to that login page.
But we need to read the callback. Is it success?
Yeah, yeah.
Unit
Yep,
between
yep.
or something?
That's all giving. That's how the portal
Yeah, that portal is already giving us, so that
portal is already doing the same thing.
For
We'll do
that,
the same logic in the mobile app.
Portal and we have to write.
so we'll have to see if portal is giving us proper callbacks or not.
Correct. That is what.
Yeah. So we'll have to just receive those callbacks and just return back. Okay, I think these are the basic things that we have. I think
Any more questions on that topics?
the next is some that common consumption components. I think already Rajiv and Rajesh, they have mentioned all these things.
Yeah, it's just the same libraries that.
Same library, same usage.
Okay, so
M2 chip wala issue that I told you, I will raise it.
Just raise a ticket. I will just revert back.
can you go to the agenda sheet once again? Sujit? The front-end libraries, the common consumption, okay. You guys understand these libraries, right? Common consumption libraries. You guys understand this common consumption components and client services why we're using mobile app also.
That I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yesterday-
same thing. Whatever portal is using, we're using the same
libraries
stuff.
just to get the same look and feel. Instead of mobile writing the same code again, okay, we're reusing the same common consumption cards. Okay, and client services, just no
And client services in the Sunbird SDK, all the APIs we're calling.
Thing. Instead of writing the code in the SDK mobile app again, you call the same methods. That will make sure which API to be called and everything. Yeah.
So there aren't steps to standalone setup of the SDK
It's
if we have to debug.
Why do you want to touch the SDK? First of all, see, again, you go and experiment. Okay, but ideally, SDK is, if you see, even there's no changes happen from last, how long it is? See how old is that SDK? There won't be any reason.
SRC is
go and change
9
the code
months
in
ago.
SDK. This is a really P1 or new capability what you want to build in the SDK so that it can be reused. Okay, that time only you have to go and change the SDK. Okay, to explore and all, fine, go and explore. Okay, but there's no reason for a particular use cases to go and change the code. Okay, you have to really think of the new capability you are putting into SDK so that that can be reused. That time only you have to go and change the code in the SDK. So pretty much you have to think like libraries.
Angular version or Node version specified for it?
No, this is
These are
not.
TypeScript.
This is totally TypeScript.
These are TypeScript libraries purely.
So whatever steps that is there, it is already available, whether how you want to want to deb build or link it, prod build, all the steps are there. Build means this is not a it will build it. You will have to just do a npm run build, then you have to link it in the mobile app. Then only you can,
That is how it is.
yeah, then only you can debug it, all the source maps and all, you can debug it.
You have to give me that, you said you remind me about that deep link plugin file.
Plugin file.
Splash.
Okay, okay,
Splash,
हाँ.
yeah.
Yep. So I think this conference page,
Actually
they
open.
can access it, right? This is
Actually
open, right?
Yeah.
So I think in Confluence page, you do have link to this Confluence.
Okay, just now I showcased in the microservices thing. In the microservice itself, we given some of the links for the discussion forum. Just now I took a session on the discussion forum. They're able to access these links. Okay, you try to get the same link. Okay, from the have you put anywhere in the microsite? Any one of the Confluence
No.
anywhere?
In microsite, it's not there.
Okay. Yeah. Can you go to learn quickly? Okay. So just refer this microsite. Okay, for accessing the Confluence wikis. Go to product and developer guide. Yes. Just see here. Okay. So go to discussion forum. Discussion forum.
Where is discussion?
Yeah, that
Okay.
one. It's architecture. Architecture.
Whoa,
Architecture. That's it, yeah.
architecture,
And code flow.
code flow.
Okay, come down, last one. Yeah. So if you can able to access this link, okay, this is a microsite we added for the Learn repository. Okay. So you can search any of the pages here. Okay, like here, the way he is searching for deep link.
Yeah, so
search for
here you
deep
can
link.
search for the deep link.
Deep link, okay, you will get it. Okay. So this is publicly accessible and we just verified. Okay, all the microsite documents, okay, these are a lot of documents related to design discussions, why we taken that call and everything. Okay. You guys can refer a lot of mobile related wiki pages and all here for your understanding it. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Anisha, any questions?
Nisa, you told you'll ask questions. I'm not getting any question.
UI related, I'll ask you, so it's too much. Code level, no.
Okay. Yeah, just can you summarize what is our plan?
Yep. I think.
We go to that.
Yeah, I think these are things we've covered. So I think we'll summarize whatever things that we've covered. So first, I think we have discussed what is the tech stack that we're using for Sunbird mobile app, and what are the basic things that we require for set up the mobile app, like what are the forms required, what are the properties file, and we have discussed what all properties file that we have, what is the use of all those properties file, and where to get those properties files. Those are the things that we got. Then we saw the architecture of the mobile app, how our module structure has been done, and we have gone through few folders, folder structures, like what all, how we are creating our modules and how we are calling the APIs and all. So after that, we have discussed some Coda plugins, what the plugins that we are accessing, that is maintained by Sunbird. We explained all those things. Then I think we have discussed some guest users and login user flows. After then, how we are consuming the content online and offline. Also, we have seen how we are generating the telemetries and how we are sending it to the platform, or how it is generated. In the Sunbird SDK, I think we have seen the architecture, how it is connecting to the client services and getting the response back, and why it is being called the BFA for Sunbird mobile app. And the module walkthrough, how the module has been structured, how the folder structure for all the modules. Then the basic code flow for simple I have explained the course module. Then next, how bearer token is created, bearer token and also the user auth token, how it's created and how it is refreshed. And we saw how content progress is tracked, like using the telemetry events, how content progress is tracked, and how the eCar extraction works to be consumed by the player. So because player will only understand the eCar, other than that, will not understand anything. Yep. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me or yeah.
This mobile SDK uses client cloud services.
Cloud SDK?
Mobile SDK uses client cloud services.
No, not client cloud service, client service, client services. This one. Sunbird client services. Client cloud services is being used by Portal. No. So there's some doubt in like client cloud services and Sunbird client services.
Yeah.
So Sunbird mobile SDK uses Sunbird client services. Yeah. So if you have any doubt, you can ask me, or if in future you can directly put up in discussion forum itself. No, I think this guy has sent me.
Okay, so with this, today's session we are going to close. I end the session today. Okay, so pretty much what we have done till now, day 3 is like client apps is pretty much everything covered, learning apps. Okay, so especially portal UI and desktop and mobile app, all 3 are covered. The co-create portal is something that tomorrow we are going to cover on that co-create portal. Okay, Shubham is a person who is going to talk about that more. Okay, that's a tomorrow session what we are going to do. And there's one more thing tomorrow, the ML capability, the manage learn capabilities, which is tomorrow first stop. Okay, what we are going to cover. Okay, that's the tomorrow's agenda. Okay, and pretty much on the mobile app, okay, SDK covered, and that as he explained, and the mobile app code also covered today. And we covered one more new thing today is the players. Okay, we didn't cover before. Okay, today we covered the players. Okay, one of the player examples. Okay, and one more thing is still pending on the front-end libraries point of view, editors. Editors we didn't cover till now. Okay, maybe tomorrow we'll try to collect, explain the one of the editor, like a collection editor, which is the most used one. Okay, we'll try to explain the collection editor tomorrow. As part of co-create itself, we'll try to cover that. Because collection editor being used in the co-create for textbooks. Okay, we'll try to explain that code as well as part of co-create tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Okay, for today. Yeah, thank you guys. Okay, make sure
Thank you.
Feedback is updated.